and welcome to the Merryweather Knitting Podcast. My name is Gabriella and I'm coming to you from my home in Germany, where I'm very excited to chat with you about knitting and crafting and spinning and all that I've been working on this week. So I hope you'll get cozy and join me for a bit for some fiber chat. I feel like this week has been a very healing week for me in my kind of crafting life. Last week I had a bit of trouble with, my projects. They weren't coming out the way I wanted them to. I had this sweater which I knit too big and I felted, which actually in the end was a success, I feel. But I also had this other little sweater which I was knitting and I just wasn't happy with the yarn. And so this last week I felt like I needed something therapeutic and just meditative and fun and enjoyable. And what that was spinning. I just got back into spinning a bit, which was really the perfect kind of medicine for my kind of disappointment and like demotivation. A good friend of mine on Instagram, Katie from Mumbles and Wool, she has an amazing Instagram where she updates on her spinning journey and her dyeing journey right now. It's really fun to follow her, so check her account out if you haven't already. But she challenged me to 30 minutes a day for 30 days spinning. It was like a spinning challenge, and it came at the perfect time for me, and it was the perfect kind of little motivation to really pick up my spindle and just focus on that and kind of let a couple other projects just sit. And I didn't have much to work on except for this little sweater. I was waiting on sock yarn, and so at the beginning of the week I just really spun my heart out the whole entire time. Every free moment I had, I stood in my kitchen and spun, I watched podcasts and spun. I had a really lovely time spinning, and it rekindled my love for it. And I don't know, I feel like the past couple of months I haven't been spinning as much as I would like, and I have this beautiful fiber, and I got back into it, which was a wonderful thing. So I'm going to show you what I've been making. You've seen this before if you've watched the podcast. I have shown it before, but I'm going to show it again in case you haven't seen it. And my progress isn't huge. I feel like I'm not the fastest spinner. I take my time when I spin. I really do. I also like to ply on the fly. I'm doing that right now. Navajo ply, like this Mach 3 ply, where I just kind of go as I spin, I ply, which I don't know if that slows down the process. Maybe it makes it a little bit, in the end it's probably the same amount of time or maybe even less time to spin yarn, but I really like it because I feel like, especially when I'm spinning on my drop spindle, I just can ply it up as I go, finish it up, process it, and then I have yarn, which is really a really satisfying feeling, especially when spinning on a drop spindle, which obviously takes a bit more time than if I were to be spinning on a spinning wheel. So I'm going to show you what I have. As I said, I've shown this fiber before, but I'm going to show the fiber first. And it's just a braided roving, I think it's BFL. I have lost the ball band or the band for this, so I don't remember, which is a shame. I don't know why, but I've had it for quite some time. And I guess I just got rid of the band at some point. But it's such a beautiful, beautiful colorway. Beautiful peaches, salmon colors, and then these beautiful browns, kind of earthy, mossy greens, then this lighter kind of grass greens, and even some neon green in there. It's really a beautiful, beautiful colorway. And when I spin, I know some people just take apart their braid and just kind of begin by separating it up and kind of deciding what they want the finished yarn to look like, especially if they're playing on the fly, because it's then kind of all, it just goes as you go, it just does the colors. But I'm not that way. I kind of just spin from the braid as I go. I just kind of undo some and then spin more and undo it and then pull some up and spin more. And I like that. I like the way it looks in the end, or I've had success with that. I also think it's kind of like always a little bit of a surprise, just to see. Although I have been taking out some of this pink or this kind of peachy salmon and separating it out to kind of disperse more evenly, because this is a huge chunk of green and I want to have some pops of this beautiful, beautiful peachy salmon color throughout. So I've kind of been distributing that a little bit, but other than that, I've just been following the colorways dye pattern and spinning it up. So here's what I have so far. This is what I have right now to spin on, which is these beautiful, just look at that. When you see it out, oh, it's so beautiful. I love it. That's a little bit tangled, but think it's such a beautiful, beautiful fiber. Beautiful color combination. I mean, it's just like, this is such a bright color, and then there's this kind of like more muted tone. I just love the combination of like muted tones and more bright, vibrant tones. So here I am here. There's my beautiful little spindle, a drop spindle, which I don't know where I got this. I don't know what it is. It's from an Etsy shop. Maybe I can find out who made it, but I don't remember. But I'm just, there it is. The beautiful yarn is coming along. I'm really happy with it. I'm a very free-spirited spinner, so it's not like I have the most even yarn in the world, but I'm very happy with the result, and I like a little bit of rugged unevenness to my hand spun. I think that adds character and makes it really special, so I'm really happy with it. And it's just been so much fun to spin up. And I'm a slow spinner. I take my time, but it's such a meditative thing to do, and I feel like once you have gotten the hang of spinning, especially in a drop spindle, it's really just an absolute meditation to spin, and it's just so relaxing, and it was the perfect thing to reset my system a little bit. Just feeling a little disappointed. So that was what I've been working on a lot this week, is just spinning. And I feel like when I say a lot, it looks like there's such a small amount of yarn. I feel almost like it should be more, but it's, you know, I work at the pace I work at, and like I said, I'm very happy with it. And I try to spin relatively thin, although I would say it's kind of like a DK weight, a heavy fingering DK weight yarn, which is the result. Hopefully you can see it. But that's my spinning. I also have been knitting as well. Last week I showed this little sweater, which is a sweater I'm making for my daughter Esmeralda. It is just this little top-down raglan, garter stitch, bulky, chunky sweater. And I talked about last week how I was just not happy with it, how I wasn't happy with the yarn, the color, the yarn itself, just the way it's knitting, and it just wasn't the right yarn for this project. But after last episode, I kind of just let it sit and I abandoned it for a little while. And I was so encouraged by some suggestions that you gave. I thought about just frogging it. I was really encouraged by the idea and just liberated by the thought of just frogging it and letting it go and knitting something else. I got the amazing suggestion to just frog it and knit a blanket for my cat, which honestly was such a liberating and brilliant idea. I also loved the idea of knitting a little blanket for my cat, but I was liberated by that, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna frog it. I'm so happy with that. Why knit on something I'm not enjoying? And I kind of just let it sit. I also got the suggestion to kind of find an applique of a mushroom, which I really like the idea because like I said, reminds me a little bit of a mushroomy color, and I feel like it's kind of like, when I thought of it as a mushroom sweater, I liked the idea of it being a little mushroom sweater. I think that's just super sweet. After letting it sit there and thinking I was gonna frog it, I kind of got more, I don't know, I kind of got used to it, and I decided in the end, you know what? I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna knit it to completion. The yarn is still not my favorite. It's this acrylic and wool blend. And it was, I don't know, it's an acrylic and wool blend, and it's this big kind of unspun, huge, bulky yarn. And it's pilling as I knit and as I sit, and it literally is like, it has little pills. It's very sensitive, and it's not the most beautiful thing when you then see all those little pills and those little marks when it's not even been worn yet. I can't imagine how it's gonna look after it's been worn. But even still, yesterday or the day before, I decided, you know what, I am gonna actually just finish it. It's not so bad. I think, you know, if I finish it, it's her mushroom sweater. I'm knitting it, it's a big size for her. She's almost 10 months old, but this is going to be, I'm knitting it, I think I'm knitting the 2-year-old size. We'll see if I have enough yarn. It might be a little shorter because I'm on my last ball of yarn. I'm a little nervous that it's not gonna be enough. So it might be the 18-month size, but it's acrylic. It will stretch out. It's so bulky, and it's pretty tightly, the gauge is pretty tight actually, so I feel like it'll stretch out, and I can even stretch it out a little bit, which, you know, I think that will be a nice thing because she can get hopefully a decent amount of wear out of it. It can just be an outdoor sweater. You know, I think it's not so bad. So I'm happy. I feel like I got back into this, and I'm glad. It's a really fast, quick, easy project anyway. I'm pretty sure that if this were a sweater for me, or just like an adult size sweater, I probably would have really frogged it in the end because I'm not in love with it at all. But it's grown on me, and for a baby sweater, I'm gonna finish it. It's no problem. I'm excited about it. And then I can gift it after it's done. Hopefully it's not too pilled. That's my little mushroom sweater for Esmeralda. And I'm happy that I've kind of readjusted to the idea of it, because it's a little bit of a shame if you frog something. I mean, I don't really mind it. I really was liberated by the thought, just because I think, you know, what's the point of knitting on something that you don't enjoy, and knitting and knitting and knitting? And especially if you know you're not going to enjoy the product. It's one thing if you don't enjoy the process, but you know you're going to love the product. It's another thing if you don't like either one. So I definitely would be comfortable frogging if it was just 100% not for me, but it's grown on me. So I'm very happy about that. The next thing I have to show you, which is something I'm so happy to be able to show you. I was waiting and waiting for this yarn, and right now, I mean, the post is a little bit slow for obvious reasons. And on top of that, it was the holidays, so it took a little while for this to arrive. But I finally got the sock yarn that I ordered. And here it is. This is the sock yarn I ordered. It's a very simple, easy sock yarn, but I was really excited about it. It's just some Opal sock yarn, which is just a superwash, 75-25 wool to polyamide. It's just a very basic workhorse sock yarn. And I think a pretty standard brand here in Germany. I don't know if it's standard everywhere, if everyone knows this brand Opal, but I feel like in the States I hadn't seen Opal as much. The reason why I was so excited about this is because I found it on sale, which is always an exciting thing if you find something on sale, but it's also based on the artwork by Hundertwasser. So Hundertwasser is an artist who I didn't even know about before I saw this. So when I saw this yarn, it was on sale, and I was trying to find sock yarn for my husband, and I don't know, I wanted him to choose the yarn because I feel like if he chooses it, he's more likely to wear it. If he likes it, I know he likes the colors, I know he likes, you know, everything about it. So I found this yarn on sale, and I was like, oh look, who's Hundertwasser? My husband, he studied art history. He's getting his master's in fine arts. He's very or visual communication. He's an artist and a musician, and he has a very wide scope of knowledge on art history and artists and everything like that. And I'm sure that Hundertwasser is a well-known artist, but I've never heard of him before, never seen his work. Maybe I've seen his work, but I was never aware. So I was like, who is that? And he knew right away. He was like, oh, that's an artist who does this kind of work. And I was like, oh, really? Do you like it? And he was like, yeah, it's good. And so I was like, okay, maybe he would be interested in having some sock yarn, some socks inspired by the artwork of Hundertwasser. So as you can see, there's the artwork which this is based on. This is like a little series of colorways which were based on his artwork. And so there we have it right there. I hope you can see it's focusing. That's the artwork it's based on. It's called Blinde Venus, or I think Blinde Venus would be the English translation. If you know this artwork and it has a different English name or a different English translation for the name, you can let me know. But there it is. He really liked the colors. He liked the way the colorway looked. And I thought the colorway looked like a lot of fun to knit. So here's how it seems like it's supposed to look. If you can see it on there, I hope you can. The ball band is like a little crunched already. But yeah, it's just, it looked like a colorful colorway, and Nick liked the colors. He liked the idea that it was based on Hundertwasser's work, and honestly, I like the idea that it's based on some artwork. I feel like it kind of lends itself to my kind of sense of place and time, and I don't know, it gives me some kind of a flavor. I don't know how to explain it. I just like it. I love when some project has an association with something else. I think a lot of people do. I think, you know, like if I have a pattern that's knit that's based on a book or based on a story or based on a person, I'm really inspired by that and inspired by the life and the history or the story that comes along with it. In this case, the artwork. So I'm going to be and hoping that I learn a little bit about Hundertwasser's artwork and maybe this work Blinde Venus as I knit on this pair of socks. So here's what I have so far. I just cast it on, and I actually had to, I knit a little bit farther than this already, but I had to rip it back because I had cast on 68 stitches and started to knit and knit because I had once cast on 72 stitches for a pair of socks for Nick, and I had knit pretty far. He has very big feet. I don't know what size they are even in American sizes, but in European sizes, he's like a size, 47, 48, 49. He's also like, it depends. So like it's pretty hard to find shoes that fit him sometimes. So I had cast on 72 stitches thinking that would be the right amount. But as I knit on those socks, it was very clear and apparent that my gauge was loose, or it just wasn't the right size because they were huge. They were way too big. So this time I thought, okay, I'll cast on 78, having had that experience. But maybe that yarn was just a little thicker. Maybe my gauge has changed. But that 78 was way too small. Way too small. I saw it and I was like, this is not going to fit him. And then I tried to put it around his foot and it didn't fit around his heel. So I was like, this is seriously problematic. So now I've cast on 70, I don't think even 72, more than 72. I wrote it down somewhere, but I cast on over 72, I think 74 or 76 stitches. And I think this should be big enough for him. Doesn't look like it's going to be too big for his foot at all, or his ankle, but yeah, I had to rip it out and start over. But now I'm this far and you can start to see the pattern emerging. I love, love, love these kind of self-striping or self-patterned or even just variegated sock yarns. It's so much fun to just watch it progress. And with every row, you just kind of see it come out and emerge. And it's really, really fun to knit. I love the patterning so far. It's really fun. And I'm knitting it on these miniature little Chowgu sock needles. These are a size US 1, 2.25 millimeters. I really love these little circular needles. I know that they're not for everybody because I think it's kind of hard on the hands when you knit with tiny needles like this. It's kind of, you have to hold your hands in a certain way, but I love it because I can knit on the go. I don't lose stitches. I feel like socks or something, I usually really like to knit while I'm kind of on the go, take them with me, knit them all over. And right now I'm not going very many places, but even just taking it around the house, I like it a lot more than having a huge long cable or having double pointed needles. You know, that would be how I would usually knit, is then, I don't know, I've knit both ways, but I like this little tiny cable. And it was, since I've knit quite a bit of sock, it was a great investment because I can just take it with me. I really enjoy it. So I definitely recommend these little needles if you knit a lot of socks and this small size doesn't bother you. They're really, really a fun little set to have. So that's my little sock project that I've just cast on. And I'm very excited to see how that progresses. I knit these up for him because he's been asking for socks for such a long time. He's been, talking about how he wants socks. As I was knitting his sweater, he's like, oh, that's really nice. You know what I really like is a pair of socks. I remember saying, oh, maybe I'll knit you that pullover at some point. And, I think like, oh, he's going to be excited about that. But no, he's like, I would love a pair of socks. So I'm very, very happy to oblige and to knit a pair of socks for him. I'm going to take a little sip of tea. Today I'm drinking some black tea with milk, which is such a nostalgic, wonderful drink to me. As a little girl, my grandmother would always have tea time with me and she would drink tea every single day. She still drinks tea, I think, every day. But I don't think she drinks black tea as much as anymore. I could be wrong, but I don't think she does. But when I was younger, she would always have black tea and she would always have it with me and serve it to me, and I would love it with milk and sugar. Of course, all the milk and sugar I could get. And now I don't take sugar anymore, but I love it with milk. And it's really a treat. I don't drink it that often, but I really, really enjoy it. It's like just such a nostalgic, comforting drink. And I'm drinking it out of a mug, which is unusual for me. I love to drink out of my teacups, but I didn't make a teapot because Nick doesn't like black tea at all. And so I knew that I would be drinking it alone, so I just had it in a big mug instead of a pot with a little teacup. Another thing I wanted to chat with you about is the Two to Roses knit along that I am hosting with Sophie of the Becca Creations Knitting Podcast. And we're so excited about this knit along. And officially, I guess it's kind of started because it's 2021 and it's going through the whole of 2021. But both of us are still waiting on our books, and the virtual yarn shop is not yet open to order yarn anyway, so we're kind of waiting on that. But I'm really, really excited to order yarn. I'm really excited to go through the book and share it with you. And I'd love to hear if any of you are planning or thinking about joining us on that knit along. I've opened a little topic on my Ravelry group, which I would love if you joined at any point. And I would love to hear if you have any ideas or plans or dreams or thoughts about maybe joining us in that journey. I feel like I'm so excited to do it, and Sophie too, to see what she chooses, which pattern she wants to knit first. And I've been thinking about which pattern I want to knit. I think I know which one I want to knit, which I'm excited to share with you as well. So let me know if you've been thinking about that at all. This book is such a special book, and the patterns, I would say, for me, are a bit of a challenge and something to tackle, something a bit out of my comfort zone. But I feel like Alice Starmore, her designs are absolutely iconic and beautiful, and just everything about the construction looks so stunning and so beautiful. And I'm really, really excited to kind of step out and knit one of her pieces. I feel like these pieces are going to be just staples for me that I'm going to love wearing and love having. And I think the process is going to be so much fun as well. So let me know if you're going to join us and if you were thinking about it. And also maybe share with me a bit about any projects that you have in mind which are a bit challenging for you, outside of your comfort zone, that you want to explore. There's so many things that are still new to me that I still want to experiment with, or grow in, or learn techniques which I haven't tried. But I also love this feeling of having not yet tried something and venturing into it. It's like reading a book for the first time, or listening to music for the first time and loving it. You know, when you read, the first time you read one of your favorite books, it's like you never get that experience again. There are some books which I love rereading, but I love sharing too, because I feel like that first time reading experience is just such a joy. And I think it's the same with knitting and with learning a craft, or, you know, the struggle that you have first learning something. I remember first trying color work and the kind of awkwardness and discomfort of it, but then after a while getting the hang of it and feeling that sense of joy at having kind of achieved it, or I don't even know if achieving isn't the right word, but having kind of tackled it and challenged myself and learned it. But anyway, I digress. That's mostly all I have to show you with my knitting. I do have 2 other balls or little cakes, balls, skeins of these Opal sock yarn which I ordered, but I forgot it in the other room, and I will save it for next time to show you, because it's really, really special. Just each one is inspired by an artwork, and because they were on sale, I went ahead and got 3 of them, which I'm very excited to knit. But anyway, that's all I have to show you with my fiber arts. And you can find me on Ravelry as Gabriellak. You can add me as a friend there, or join our Ravelry group and introduce yourself there. I'd love to get to know you. You can also find me on Instagram as Merryweather Knitting. I love seeing what people are working on Instagram. It's such a fun platform for knitting. I'm going to be doing a giveaway in honor of my birthday next episode, so keep an eye out for that. Please share with me what you're up to this next week, what you're knitting on, what you're working on. I'd love to hear from you. It's such a joy to have a community of knitters. It's been the greatest pleasure for me this last couple of months with this podcast, to feel like I've gotten to know some of you and to kind of develop a little community that's absolutely just so much fun to be a part of. So I hope you'll share with me a bit and just join in the conversation if you'd like to. If you haven't already, it would be wonderful if you subscribe to the channel and click the bell for updates, and you'll always know when I've uploaded a podcast. So I think I'm going to leave you now. I hope you have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week for more chat about knitting and crafting and spinning. And make sure to remember the next week I'm going to give you a little giveaway. So see you next time. Bye!